Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode on the Party Chat Sports YouTube channel. You will notice the title of the video, The Steelers Obituary, and that's where we're at. You can see I'm dressed in my black garments to represent the death, or your traditional funeral wear of my beloved, my Pittsburgh Steelers. After what we just saw in week 4. So I've made a list titled Steelers Obituary on my phone, and we're just going to go through it. If you're a Steelers fan, you're going to feel with me. If you're not a Steelers fan, you're probably just going to think it's funny. And I get that. I definitely get that. But where do we even begin? At this point, I want to start off by saying, not the loss hurt. The injury to Pickett hurt even more. The news has come out today that his injury is not serious. He's not expected to miss much, if any, time. So we'll see if he plays against Baltimore in week 5. And then you got the bye week coming up in week 6. So a lot of time to regroup. So that's where I want to start. So I won't touch too much on that. This is ridiculous. I mean, it's a good thing I'm doing this episode today and not yesterday. Yesterday I was in a much different headspace. Today, about 24 hours removed from that experience, I just don't even know where to begin. I think you have to start at the top, and you look right at Mike Tomlin. You go, okay, what's the deal here? Because this team has not lost. There's a stat, you can look it up. The team has not lost by more than 22 points from 1998 to 2010 or 2020. It happened 6 times. So basically 22 years, losing by 22 points or more, something like that. It happened 6 times. And now it's happened 6 times in the last 2 years, where you've just been blown out. The scheme is not there. I mean, every week we're getting out-schemed by smarter coaches. I mean, just straight up. I mean, the defense, you're loaded with talent. You have fantastic players everywhere, and you're late every week. A wide receiver's gone for $150 this year. There's just nothing there to stop it. The run defense is horrible. I get to watch a TJ Watt highlight usually every week, and that's pretty great, but nobody else gives. I'm gonna do my best to withhold my language here today, but so let's just start there. So Mike Tomlin, where's the schemes at? Where's the defense of the 2010s for the Steelers that you inherited those teams and you won a Super Bowl and they were fantastic? You won 2 Super Bowls, actually. And, no, you only won 1. But whatever. Man, come on. What's the deal with that? And Mike Tomlin let this happen. This whole Matt Canada, I'm going to call it, he let it happen. You didn't fire Matt Canada before the year because we're a prideful organization. We see out contracts for people. We don't fire anybody midseason. Get rid of him. Gone. Goodbye. 4th and 1. You run after Najee he was doing great in the beginning of that second half. He was running right through the heart and soul of that Houston defense. 4th and 1, and you do a drop back pass out of shotgun, a 5-step drop, basically a 4 verts concept on 4th and 1. And if you look earlier in the game, he called the same play out of the same formation on a 2nd and 16. I mean, the offensive play calling is just, he's a Madden player. He has his 5 plays that he thinks works, and he just calls them over and over and over again. And there's no creativity. There's no thought. I don't understand how a person being paid to do what he does still has a job. And it's abysmal. I feel like you could grab a number of different people out of Steelers Nation who could do a better job. And that's not, a lot of people say that in professions like, oh, you could come out here and do that. But anybody could do what he's doing. I mean, he's not doing anything. Laughable offense, and if you look at the numbers, some of the worst offense in the league since he's been the offensive coordinator. I mean, and it's not even close. If you look at any major statistic, he's awful. I will say this offense is missing Deontay Johnson quite a bit. Deontay Johnson, the best route runner on the team, one of the best route runners in the league. Some would even say top 3, top 5 route runner in the league, and he's not there. So you got a guy that's not getting open. George Pickens, great receiver, but he's not a big separation guy. He's a contested catch guy. He'll get open every once in a while, but he's not going to – I mean, Deontay can pretty much get open at a whim every single play. So that's a problem that you're missing Deontay. But you got Pickens, who's fantastic. You got Allen Robinson, who's been a 1,000-yard receiver in his career. Calvin Austin, who runs a 4.2. Najee Harris. I mean, the weapons are there. Granted, the offensive line has been dookie. Pickett's pretty much running for his life every play, and it's at the point where Pickett starts to bail from clean pockets because he's getting scared of getting smoked, and he's worried that the offense is going to collapse on him. The line's going to collapse on him at every given moment. So, it's just, man, it's tough. You spend all this money on the O-line, and it just doesn't produce. You go into Houston, who you are a better team than, talent-wise. Obviously, they did not play better, and Houston was by far the better team on that day. Yeah. So, you go in there and just abysmal performance, no heart whatsoever, and I haven't even gotten to the true problems on the defense. But let's stay on the offense for a second. All these weapons, where was Muth in the game plan? I should be getting open left, right, and center in the middle of the field, but we refuse to throw it in the middle of the field. We run dump-offs and screens and 4 verts every play, and the defense, it's so predictable what the plays are going to be. There's just zero creativity, and I mean, the defensive players have been saying it after they play the Steelers, like, yeah, their offense is the most predictable in the league. They watch film. I mean, they know what they're going to do every single time you're out there, and how does Mike Tomlin let this happen? Many of you will remember the video I made earlier in the year saying the Steelers are legit. Well, the Steelers are legitly in trouble at this point. Just abysmal performance. Let's flip to the defense. The Steelers' defense continues to be disappointing. And I know when the offense isn't doing anything, the defense is going to look worse, and the numbers are going to look worse. And there was no excuse, though, for the Texans to drive down the field on the opening drive of the game and just absolutely have wide open pass after wide open pass and run it all the way down the field and score a touchdown, though. No heart. At the end of the first half, wide open receivers, nobody wants to tackle. 2 plays, they get like 80 yards, and they kick a field goal at the end of the half, just giving away points. Why on earth is Levi Wallace and Patrick Peterson still out there? Joey Porter Jr. has so much more talent than both of them right now. I know you're trying to protect him, but look at all the other corners that have been thrust into the field, and they've learned trial by fire, and they've been doing great. I mean, Patrick Surtain, Sauce Gardner, the handful that have played this year, the Christian Gonzalez for the Patriots. I mean, all these other guys are getting on the field and they're making plays. Every time Joey Porter Jr. steps on the field, he's breaking up a pass, and he only played 10 snaps all game. It was like 20% of the snaps or something like that, or even less than that. It was like 14. Ridiculous. Levi Wallace is burnt toast out there. Patrick Peterson needs to go into a retirement home. At the very least, kick him inside and have him play slot. Oh, that's a problem. The strong safety spot's not offering any support. The middle linebackers are just run stuffers that can't even stuff the run, and so they're getting burnt over the middle in coverage. The scheme is just... The 49ers, they did the blueprint in week 1 of how to beat this team. On defense, you just smother them because you know what's going to happen. Then on offense, this zone defense is going to have holes everywhere littered throughout the middle of the field. Your wide receiver 1's not even going to be touched half the time, so you might as well just throw it to him every play. Ridiculous. And the Texans coaching staff is a lot from the 49ers tree, and I guarantee that's all they did. They put on the 49ers game, figured out, that's how you crush a team. Well, they went out and they crushed them even worse. They won by 1 more point. Instead of 30-7, it was 30-6. Abysmal. just atrocious. And now you got a home game. Baltimore's coming into your house, and they're the leaders of the AFC North. How are you going to play? I mean, there shouldn't need to be any motivation for this upcoming game. Absolutely none. It's the Baltimore Ravens in your house, AFC North, on the line, as it always is. And I don't know if Kenny's going to play or not. I really hope he does. Mild MCL injury, if it's as non-serious as they're saying it is. Ben used to play through that all the time, and he'd go out and he'd drop 300 yards passing and 3 tutties on 0 knees. I don't even think he had 1 knee there for the last 5 years of his career. So, I'm not advocating playing on an injury. I'm just saying, Matthew Stafford had a game-winning drive on a broken ankle last week, so that must be nice. But yeah, if I gotta watch Mitch Trubisky throw 3 interceptions to the Ravens again, I'm going to lose my mind. If Matt Canada, I don't know how, I just do not understand how he still has a job. Let go of the tradition, Pittsburgh, because you are not even anywhere close to that tradition right now. You 0 championship prestige at the moment. Just holding on to coaches because you're nice. I mean, get rid of the guy if he's not doing his job, and clearly he's not doing his job. I'm sure there's a lot more that I want to say, and it's not coming to the surface, and I'm sure it will in the podcast this week. I'll think of more stuff to say in the Pick'ems video this week. But that's just where it's at. Could be worse. Could be a Bears fan. Could have never won a Super Bowl ever. That could be worse. At least we got 6. But watching this team on Sunday is abysmal. It's just, and they showed that there were some growing pains. Obviously, the 49ers week 1, tough game. They're a really good team. Week 2, you go out and you're scrappy. You find a way to beat Cleveland on Monday night. Week 3, you play like a real football team. Las Vegas Raiders, you had some good schemes, you scored some touchdowns, you did a lot of good things on defense. And then just the most flat performance I've ever seen from the Steelers. And I've seen a bunch. I've seen a lot. Pretty much every other time they've played the Raiders prior to last year, abysmal. Usually when they play the Jets, they're pretty bad. And now I guess we're adding the Texans to that list. Can't play the Texans. So, trap games. But is it a trap game if you're Dookie though? Like if you're a bad team, are any games trap games? That's a pretty good question. So yeah, Pittsburgh, figure it out. Here's where we move forward from here. Nothing happens until Matt Canada gets fired. Straight up, nothing happens. Nothing changes. Nothing is better. He's had 2.5 years to prove that he's not a good offensive coordinator, and every single game has proven that. Just mind-boggling decision after mind-boggling decision. If you give Najee the ball, Pickett started playing really well last year because the running game was working fantastic. So let's go back to that. It's a no-brainer. 4th and 1, run the ball, man. Who are you fooling? I can't. That's that game's over. So we'll move on. Some issues I see going forward. Muth's going to be out for an extended period of time. You're still not getting Deontay back this week. Cameron Hayward's still gone. Listen, Cameron Hayward's not going to be around forever. So other guys have got to step up. Deontay Johnson, he's in his prime right now. So missing him, missing your wide receiver 1, yeah, that's a bummer. But you have talent in the room to pick him up. And when he comes back, I'm very confident that's going to be a huge boost to this team. But he's not back yet, so you have to figure out how to put together a performance against the Ravens and not be embarrassed. Straight up. If the Ravens come in and they rush for 200 yards, which they probably will, and they win by 17 points, in your own house, just give me a break. Steelers have no excuses. If it doesn't work, you gotta blow a lot of things up, and that starts in the coaching staff. We'll have a conversation about Mike another time. And I think there's a lot of good that he brings, but I feel like there's also a lot of negative things that keep occurring under his watch. And so that is a conversation we will have at the end of the season. So we will put that on the calendar in the future to talk about that. But this year, I mean, the schedule came together as a cupcake schedule, rising quarterback going into year 2, and 7 days ago, I did not feel this way. Even if they would have lost that game close, I would have been okay because the Texans are a good young team. They got a guy at quarterback. I love D'Amico Ryans as a head coach. Road game, yada, 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 this and that. Whatever. Teams win, teams lose all the time. But for this, I mean, now you've been embarrassed twice. So you're 2-2. You have 2 wins, or 1 win that's you shouldn't have won, 1 game you should have won, and then 2 embarrassing blowouts. I mean, where does it end? I realize this video is getting a little long, but I just keep thinking of things to say. So moving forward, you got to blow it up. Matt Canada's got to be gone, whether it's today, tomorrow, the bye week. Do it before the end of the season. Turn the page. Let someone else call some plays. It can't be worse. You cannot do harm by getting rid of Matt Canada. I don't understand the decision making at this point. Let Mike Sullivan, the QB coach, call plays. Let anybody out of the crowd do a wish to call plays on the day, because it cannot get worse than what we've seen. And then you go from there and you try to build and you try to stack some wins. You're going to have some easier games coming up in the middle of the year, but it doesn't matter if your offense is just dog water. I mean, absurdly awful under Matt Canada. So you fire Matt Canada, then you see how things start to happen. Is Kenny Pickett playing well? If he is, great. If he's not, you start to have that conversation. The defense, you're paying people all over the place. What's the issue? If there continues to be an issue, we got to talk about that. And you got to figure out, okay, is this team ever going to get anywhere, or do we start to need to have some higher picks? Because this team hasn't drafted high naturally in a very long time. The last time they did, they traded up for Devin Bush, which was an absolute disaster class. Granted, I blame the knee injury, but Ryan Shazier, please come back. That's all. So if you enjoyed this rant, please be sure to drop a like on the video. Nothing to like right now on this team, but maybe the video gave you some humor. So drop a like on the video. Subscribe for more Party Chat Sports content, and it's football season. You know, I can't think of a better time of the year. Goodbye.